Just this once. And I want to subscribe.
Card Kaizoku.
This video is sponsored by Nen Garden. Check out their new exclusive Joker playmats, now available for pre-order in full color and one in sleek black and white at nengarden.com. They're having a holiday sale right now with 25% off items. This stacks with my affiliate code card Kaizoku for an additional 5% off. This video is sponsored by gumgum.gg. Discover the latest OP10 deck list on gumgum.gg, updated daily. Be the first to see decks for new leaders as they emerge. With over 1,000 deck lists per set, gumgum.gg has all the top strategies as soon as they drop. This video is sponsored by Card Market, Europe's largest online marketplace for trading card games. Alright, we're going to be taking a look at the OP Bounty ranked data for the date of December 29th. This is real-time data, but you can check out the TCG Matchmaking Discord. They post like weekly power rankings on their Discord channel here for free, right? So you have access to this. They also have this matchup spread chart here every Thursday, it seems. But yeah, I just want to show you data at my cadence whenever I feel like it. And yeah, it is up to date, so don't worry about that. You can even verify. If you go into OP Bounty and you have their Patreon tier unlocked where you can view these stats, you can see here, Shanks has 57,945 games, Doflamingo has 48k. I have the exact same numbers here. So this video will go more in depth and have some custom analysis made by me that you won't be able to even find on their Patreon. But I don't know, if you want to watch a video of other people just clicking through the web pages of this free infographic that they post, I mean, I guess that's more power to you, but yeah, you could just view these graphics yourself. I want to provide you something more holistic than that. So I also calculated a scaled win rate, right? This takes into account the deck's win rate versus the play rate. But the last video I did, I think I put too much weight into the play rate, so I scaled it down a bit. Play rate does affect this calculation, but not as much as it used to. So in order of ranking, we have Doflamingo at top, Shanks after that, Purple Luffy after that, and then Blackbeard, and then Lucci at 5th. I also started importing the 1 billion bounty plus information as well. So this would be high ranked games, right? I feel like people care more about this number than the overall statistics for these leaders' performances. But yeah, even if we filtered on 1 billion plus berries and for matches within the last week only, Doflamingo still at top, Shanks right after that, and then actually Lucci becomes 3rd now, Purple Luffy after that, and then Teach, Red Purple Luffy, Black Yellow Luffy, Bello Betty is at 8th, Nami at 9th, and then Enel at 10th. So this is your top 10 for the past week at least, right? This excludes bias from like people trying to figure out how to play the decks early on. These are a lot more developed lists 3 weeks into the meta now, and we can see like pretty much 3 decks make up over half of the representation of the decks in the meta, right? It's Doflamingo, Shanks, and then Purple Luffy, with Lucci being 4th here. But yeah, this makes up pretty much most of the matchups that you're going to face, which is something relevant that I'm going to go into later. Right, I'm going to do an analysis on the mirror matches, which is something not provided in TCG Matchmaking's Patreon. So just like last time, let's take a look at the 10 most played leaders and then like a summary of their performance in the last week. So yeah, this is also for the last week of 1 billion berry plus ranked matches. And then this is the win rate against the 10 most played decks. It's not overall win rate. I wanted to show just the win rates against the most played decks here. So this is Doflamingo's summary chart. Here are his strong matchups, right? He's still great into Blackbeard, great into Bello Betty, great into Purple Luffy, all the Luffys it looks like. Still really weak against Enel, right? Whether you're going 1st or 2nd, it's abysmal win rate. I also added this, right? This wasn't in my last video. I have the 1st and 2nd win rates. So you can see, overall, you kind of do want to go 1st with Doflamingo. It has a 4% higher win rate on average. But are there any matchups where you want to go 2nd instead? Yeah, going 2nd nets you a higher win rate here. Also with the Bello Betty matchup, you want to take 1st away from them, I guess. But yeah, Purple Luffy, you want to take 1st away from him. So this makes sense to me. In the mirror matchup, it almost doesn't matter if you're going 1st or 2nd, with a slight edge going 2nd. But we'll go more in depth with the mirrors in a bit. Let's take a look at Shanks. I also started trending the win rates too. So we see Shanks on the 25th on Christmas, 48.48% win rate. Now he's sitting at 48.88, so it's slightly up, but I don't think to a significant amount. But yeah, strong against Enel, against both of the Purple Luffys, weak against the Red Purple Luffy, and then the Black Yellow Luffy. So he's good into half of the Luffys, bad into the other half. Gets destroyed by Bello Betty. Has a nearly even matchup in the Blue Doflamingo. It's slightly unfavored, but I think it's negligible. And yeah, going 1st, you have a higher percent win rate actually than going 2nd. That's good to know, right? Then we'll take a look at Purple Luffy. So his win rate has gone down by like 0.5% since Christmas. This is as far back as I can go because that's when I decided to start logging this data, by the way. But yeah, amazing win rate against Enel, but piss poor matchup against Lucci. This is expected. Going second against Lucci is like a death sentence, 24% win rate. But on average 38, which is still pretty low. Even if you go first, that's your best shot. You're like a little under 50-50 in that matchup. And we can see it in his overall win rates, right? 56% on average going first versus 36 going second. So you really don't want to go second with this deck. Take a look at Lucci. I think Lucci is actually poised to like actually perform really well in the meta. It's just people are like sleeping on him for some reason. He's still amazingly strong, right? He has a 51.53% win rate against the top 10 most played decks. That's positive. He's good in the Purple Luffy, good into Enel, good in the Bello Betty, good into Doflamingo. So like Purple Luffy and Doflamingo are like the top 3 played decks. The one that you... Oh no, you also beat Shanks. I thought since he was here, he was weak against Shanks, but it's still positive. He just doesn't have enough weak matchups in the top 10 to make a full 10 weak against, right? So he's good into Shanks too. He's good in the top 3 decks. Loses to Blackbeard though. That's like the risk that you have when running Lucci. But what, 3 of the 4 most played decks you're good against? That's an amazing matchup spread. And now we'll look at Teach. So I think Teach's win rate has been less favorable for Teach players. He does lose to like every popular deck in the meta, right? Blue Doflamingo, Purple Luffy, Shanks. Though Shanks is like a 50-50, it's nearly 50-50, so I wouldn't consider this like a losing matchup. But definitely the aggro matchup is really hard for Teach to play against. But does amazingly well into decks that depend on plays, right? Gecko Moria and Luffy, all of the heals in Enel, Gecko Moria and Lucci, Gecko Moria in this Luffy deck. So this makes sense. Then we'll take a look at Red Purple Luffy. So Red Purple Luffy has an amazing matchup into Shanks, amazing matchup into Enel, but yeah, dies to aggro as well, but not Purple Luffy. Has a slight advantage in the Purple Luffy, but dies to Doflamingo and Bello Betty. And his win rate has been only going down, right? 52% on Christmas and currently at a 50 flat. Black Yellow Luffy also has a positive win rate. It's been going up, right? 48 on Christmas to 51 now. He kind of has like a 50-50 matchup spread in the most popular decks, right? He beats Lucci, beats Doflamingo, beats Shanks, but loses to Blackbeard, Purple Luffy, and then I guess that's it. That's not too bad, right? So yeah, I think Black Yellow Luffy is in a pretty good spot. And I also think Lucci's going to increase in popularity soon, so perfect timing to continue to counter that guy in the meta. Up next we have Purple Black Luffy, who continues to have a negative win rate, but it has increased, right? It was like 39 on Christmas and now it's 45. That's pretty good, actually. Also could be due to Lucci gaining more popularity, and then Purple Black Luffy beats Lucci for some reason, right? Whether you're going first or second, they're positive win rates. But yeah, Lucci and Enel are where his like favorable matchups end. Everything else is kind of a negative, so a little risky, right? Lastly, we'll take a look at Bello Betty, who has a 52% win rate against the top 10 most played decks. Going first, 49% win rate on average. Going second, you have 54%, so it looks like going second on average is better. It seems to reflect that way with most of the matchups too. And yeah, good into Teach, good into Shanks, but weak into Doflamingo, and then weak into Lucci as well. But strong in the Purple Luffy too. But yeah, her win rate has gone down since December. Since Christmas, 55 to now 52. Then we'll take a look at the full matchup spread table here real quick, just to see if we notice anything. And yeah, this is similar to what you can get for free from TCG matchmaking, but I have it 20 by 20. I have the 20 most played leaders here against their 20 most played matchups. Actually, I can even change this to more if I want to, but for the sake of making it look nice on video, I'm keeping it at 20, so it all fits on screen. So yeah, this is ordered by play rate. Anything that stands out? Not really. Right, this is pretty much the same as last time. Lucci has a good matchup into the top meta decks here, as we expect. Right, I have this new column here where it shows how many favorable matchups it has against the top 5 most played decks. Lucci and Doflamingo have the same number. Doflamingo's good into Shanks, Purple Luffy, and Blackbeard. Lucci's good into Doflamingo, Shanks, and then Purple Luffy. Right, they have 3 positive matchups apiece in the top 5. Purple Luffy slowly losing a lot of favorable matchups. Right, loses to Doflamingo. His win rate against Shanks has teetered towards negative as of recently. I think it was positive at one point, but recently I guess Shanks play more control to control the Luffy board. And yeah, really bad matchup into Lucci, and then a good matchup into Teach. That's his only saving grace at the moment. And then Shanks also teeters between positive and negative against Doflamingo. At the moment it's negative, but good into Purple Luffy, barely. Actually, when I look at it, Shanks has the least polarizing matchups, right? They're nearly 50% against the top 5. So if you want like consistency and not having to like dodge matchups and stuff, I think Shanks would be like the most safe pick, it looks like, right? You're not straying more than like 52% win rate or lose rate against anything, in the top 5 at least. Because against Red Purple Luffy, it does drop quite a bit. Then Bello Betty and Nami, it drops off a cliff, so yeah, be careful of that. And yeah, Teach just seems to lose to the most played decks besides Lucci. right? It has a very low win rate against Doflamingo. It almost goes even with Shanks, so I wouldn't even consider that like a losing matchup actually, so not too bad. But loses to Purple Luffy. Beats Red Purple Luffy, beats Black Yellow Luffy. So yeah, Teach is not too bad either actually. And then Black Yellow Luffy also has a pretty good versus top 5 matchup spread, right? It has 3 similar to the Lucci and Doflamingo, really only losing to Purple Luffy here and Teach. But Teach's losing matchup for him is like really bad. And it looks like when you filter for 1 billion berries and higher, Zoro's matchup into Luffy is still negative. I expected this to be the other way around because how fragile Purple Luffy is, because he has to ramp twice, but I guess that's how strong of a card Gum Gum Giant is, right? It can protect Purple Luffy against Zoro now, which has historically been a bad matchup for him, but now it's looking like it's not. Yeah, Zoro's matchups are really polarizing. You have like a 40% win rate against Doflamingo, 58 against Shanks, 47-28 against Purple Luffy and Lucci, and then you jump up to like 80%, 86% against Blackbeard and Red Purple Luffy, then back down 25% against Black Yellow Luffy, 11% against Enel. So if you want to gamble, I think Zoro's your play. And then surprisingly, Katakuri has a positive matchup in the Doflamingo and Shanks. Oh, his matchups are pretty polarizing too, right? Loses to Purple Luffy and Lucci and Blackbeard pretty heavily, but really good into Doflamingo and Shanks. Interesting. Also, now I notice Bella Betty has a good versus top 5 spread as well. Good into 3 of them. Overall has an 11 winning matchups in the top 20. So we could see an increase in Bella Betty and an increase in Lucci. That's my prediction. And then also Black Yellow Luffy to counter the Lucci. Yeah, I would be on the lookout for these 3 decks personally. And then I wanted to show you this new analysis that I did. Let me filter it for the 29th and then for 1 billion berries only plus. So this is my mirror analysis page. I filtered all the decks for their stats against the mirror, right? Purple Luffy against Purple Luffy. And I'm displaying their going first win rate versus their going second win rate, plus the play rate, and then the variance between going first versus going second. And then I calculate a mirror risk that shows you how risky it is to play this deck. This factors into how much that deck is played, right? If you have a high variance going first versus going second play rate kind of deck, but your deck isn't like a popular deck to play, you'll face the mirror less often, so you don't have to worry about it as much. So that's the explanation of the mirror risk. So as we see here, Purple Luffy has the highest mirror risk. He has an 11% play rate, but his first versus second win rate is a 52% difference. So that high variance, taking into account with the high play rate as well, means that Purple Luffy is a risky deck to play, right? You'll encounter your mirror matchups more often, and then in your mirror matchups, if you go second, you're heavily disadvantaged. So do take that into account if you're going to take Purple Luffy to a tournament. Lucci as well, right, has a 9% play rate, but his variance is 24%, so that's pretty risky too, right? Going second seems to be pretty bad for the Lucci mirror. After that, it's Blackbeard. His going first matchup is horrible, so be careful of that. He's the 3rd highest mirror risk, but not as high as Luffy, right? This is like half the risk of Luffy. And then after that, it's Red Purple Luffy. His going second in the mirror is also really disadvantaged. Same with Black Yellow Luffy too. Going first is really bad for him. And then up next after that is Shanks. So yeah, Shanks, not too bad. Has a really high play rate, but his variance is like 4%. So not too risky to play Shanks. And then we saw in like the overall matchup spread, his matchups are just pretty milquetoast in general. Then after that is Enel, who has a 14% variance, but low play rate. So you won't encounter the mirror too often. So you don't have to worry about having to go second in the mirror with Enel. Doflamingo's is surprising. Despite having a really insanely high play rate, his variance is only 3%. So yeah, there's no risk in playing the blue Doflamingo mirror, whether you're going first or second. You have almost as equal a chance winning as you do losing. Then Bella Betty has an 11% variance, but incredibly low play rate, so it's not too often that you'll face the mirror, so you don't have to worry about it as much. And then Black Purple Luffy has a 50-50 win rate, so no risk at all, but really low play rate. So yeah, that's something I wanted to highlight. I'm only looking at the top 10 most played decks. So yeah, I thought that would be something interesting to analyze. Right, I think this is something that you do have to like be cognizant of, something to take into account. Because yeah, even if you have like a good matchup spread, it depends on the types of matchups that you'll encounter the most, right? So even though all the matchup spreads are like 50-50 in the mirror, it does matter if you're going first or second. So because of that, there's like inherent risk in taking a deck to a tournament. With Purple Luffy, yeah, being like the most risky choice here. And yeah, that's all I have for you guys this time around. Right, this is the current state of the OP Bounty ranked sim data. So thanks again to TCG Matchmaking and OP Bounty for creating the rank system and having this data available. These charts that I'm showing you in this video and any extra calculations are custom made by me for my videos and won't be available to you. Stuff like the win rate versus the top 10 or the mirror risk or the win rate trends are numbers that you'll only find here in this video until someone copies me, I guess. But yeah, I hope I was able to show you some cool and interesting stats in this video. And again, you can access the weekly power rankings on TCG Matchmaking's Discord for free yourself. If you want something more in-depth, check out their Patreon. And then if you want something more in-depth on top of that, you can just wait for my next video. Right? No need to watch some other content creator just read back charts that you can already access yourself. Yes, I'm throwing shade, right? I'm going the extra mile in these videos, so I hope you appreciate it. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Bye.
Card D Kaizoku.